Winning Edge Investments, start betting like a professional. Chances are you're about to lose. This man, I would imagine, would be a little bit nervous. I had a chat to Kieran May yesterday. I said, Kieran, King Colorado, before his preparation and before the Winks, did you think that the Caulfield Guineas would be a better race for him than the Golden Rose? And then I asked him, do you think now after the Winks that the Golden Rose can be a race that he can definitely win? And without hesitation, he said, yes, we can be winning this Golden Rose tomorrow. And the man who's a part owner is Dean Evans, and he joins us now. G'day, Dino.
G'day, Gareth. How are you? Good morning.
Do you share Kieran's beliefs as well that maybe at the start of his preparation that you thought the Caulfield Guineas was his best race, but after watching him in the Winks, it could be the Golden Rose, that could be his Group 1 race earlier on in the season?
Yeah, certainly after a 2-year-old season, the Caulfield Guineas seemed like the right race for him. I thought a 1400, Golden Rose Group 1, that'd be a bit too nippy for him. I talked to David Eustace, while he was still spelling, and he sort of shared the same view. He thought the Caulfield Guineas was the right race. I think it was $26 early on in the Golden Rose. And even then, I sort of thought, it's probably a fair price, but it's not. It's nothing special. But yeah, it's just the fields come up really, really even. It's probably about 6 winning chances, and it's certainly not a race that you can be easily confident in. But he's in the mix. He's one of those 6. I think I've heard they've watered the track a bit, which will help him. And then it's actually started raining here, which was a bit of a surprise. But it's been raining this morning, so just that little bit of juice over the track, I think, will help those horses that are maybe a bit more milers rather than 1400-metre horses as well. Might take the sting out, so there's no sort of on-pace bias or that sort of thing. So I think it's going to be a really fair race, and it's going to be a technical affair. But he's in the mix.
So we had the weekend preview team yesterday on the show, and they wanted to tip your horse. I think Mickey Gannon did tip King Colorado, but he just wanted to work out the map and whether maybe 3 wide with cover is the place to be in a Golden Rose. But we saw Jacquardo last year come down the centre of the track. How do you think this track will play?
Yeah, the rail's out 2 metres. It's usually in the true for this race. So, the further the rail goes out at Rose Hill, the more I get concerned in terms of rail's bias. But I think the way they've ordered the track, it should play fair. The Golden Rose is an interesting race. The last sort of 10 years, only Bivouac in the Congo have sort of led or sat outside the lead and won. All other winners have settled between 5th and 14th. And then the additions with 13 runners or more, which is sort of like this race, a bit of a bigger field. The winners have been 1st, 6th, 10th, 11th, 13th and 14th and settling. So they can certainly come from well back. In the last 12 years, Barry's 1 to 6 have had 6 of the winners, and Barry's 8 to 16 have had 6 of the winners. So it's the type of race where, it's a Group 1 race for the Colts. The speed goes on even when you don't think it's going to, and even when the speed's slow and been sort of below par, on my analysis, the winners have still been able to come from well back. So, I think it's definitely a below average speed predicted here. It's as slow as my sort of database goes. You got Moravia pushing the lead and Butch Cassidy going forward, but there's definitely the risk that they're not going to go super quick. And then you've sort of got Charmstone, Don Corleone, Cylinder, King Colorado, Snap Back. I think they're all going to be jostling for positions forward of the midfield. And you got Shinzo probably going to drop back from the gate with NCAP, and then probably Nadal, General Salute, and Militarize up the back. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of speed. I think with King Colorado, I'd probably be happiest if he was 1 off the fence and 3 pairs back, sort of about 6th in midfield. I think that'd be the ideal spot. But I'm never keen on 3 wide, even with cover at Rose Hill. Yep. I think it's very difficult to win, and it's particularly big races when you're wide. So for me, I just want him to be at least 1 off the fence and with a bit of cover.
So the market says Militarizes into 650 now. Shinzo's had some backing 550. I just think, as you pointed out there, that there's, with Libertad coming out now, there's just no pace in this year's Golden Rose. And I think Cylinder is going to have the best spot in running, and he's got the best turn of foot. So he's at $4.20, King Colorado at $7, NCAP at $10, and then Charmstone at $6. Who wins this race in your eyes, Dean?
Yeah, look into the historical profiling. Last 12 years, 8 winners second up, 10 winners off a 14-day break, 11 winners Colts. The fillies have a really ordinary record in this race. 9 of the last 12 winners won a black type race as a 2-year-old. and then Jack and I think ranked third. But Group 1 is a 2-year-old. The other interesting pointer is, prize money earnings of 200k plus, career wins of 2 to 4. So it's sort of those classy horses that win. On the profiling, the winning chances are the first 4 in handicap order: Militarized, Shinzo, Cylinder, King Colorado. They're the class horses. 3 of them are Group 1 winners, and Cylinder's obviously an impressive type who's won a couple of Group 2s. It's going to be a real tactical affair. I think I'm a bit biased with King Colorado, but I like the fact that his first up run was in the Winks. We've seen a lot of sort of 3-year-olds that come and run against those older horses and then really jump out of the ground. In fact, when they come with 3-year-olds, also like Home Affairs around the Everest, down the track, then bolted in to win the Coolmore. So I think that's a good form line, and I'm potting the Run to the Rose form a bit. Gareth, I thought they went pretty slow in all of their sectionals there. Sunshine in Paris, just that race rated way above the Run to the Rose, and even Incap's Ming Dynasty actually rated sort of 5.6 lengths above par, whereas the Run to the Rose ran sort of 1.9 lengths below par overall. And they just sort of ran in a clump. The horses like Moravia, Butch Cassidy that were close up, and so I think the different form line to the Run to the Rose is sort of what I'm looking for. I think Cylinder maps perfectly, but I'm just not convinced that the horse is flying as much as it was as a 2-year-old. And I'm also not convinced that 1400 is is preferable to him as 11 and 1200 is. So I think that the 2 Waller horses are the question marks. Shinzo's had a bit of a funny prep coming into this first up, did trial well, but then hasn't trialled since that for 6 weeks, so it's a really strange prep for him. I think Militarized is a really big danger, and that little bit of rain has really enhanced my confidence. He bolted in to win the Sires Produce, bolted in to win the Champagne, was good first up in the Run to the Rose. He maps back, but I think that can be okay, although he's going to be stuck sort of along the fence. Blinker's first time, I don't really know if it's going to be a positive, but he's in the mix. I think Nadal's a really good colt. He might be more of a Corporate Guineas type 2, but I think he's really underrated, and I'm surprised the price he is, because I thought of the Run to the Rose, the sort of 5 that all finished in a clump, he was the most impressive of them. And you got Charmstone, who's a horse that we've talked about a lot. I think I've tipped both her wins as prep with you, and she's absolutely flying, but just fillies have such an ordinary record in the race. And she's sort of a horse that seems to like a bit of space, and she's sort of clammed up and won. So it's one of those races where it's hard to really nail one. For me, I think the best value is probably King Colorado, Nadal, and Militarized.
Okay, I don't want to put you on the spot here. First up record in a Golden Rose like Shinzo's trying to do? Do many horses win first up?
No, never.
Yep.
It's there's not many that's tried. But there was actually a horse, David Van Dyke's Yankee Rose, that ran first up and did run second. So, and she was a filly. So it's definitely not impossible. I think the thing I'm not sure about Shinzo is whether they really wanted to do this first up or whether it had a little bit of a setback. And I've heard mixed reports about that. And so, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes.
We had Chris Waller on the show a few weeks ago, and he said that they didn't want to give him 3 runs heading into the Everest. They wanted to keep him sharp enough in a way, so they decided to try with the Group 1 and then drop him back to the 1200. That was a similar formula I think they did with Yes for success. So he's gone back to that type of profile.
I think they did run Yes though in the Run to the Rose.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, they did. So that's why I thought it was interesting that he went away from that formula. But anyway, it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing.
I'll send I've got a couple of spies at the Waller camp. I'll see what I can find out for you, Dino. Now let's have a look at the Underwood Stakes, the Group 1 at Caulfield. I love how they're backing up Alligator Blood at 350. I think that, I don't know if there's a big Group 1. This is a Group 1, but one of the feature Group 1s over the spring for him. But there's a Group 1 like an Underwood Stakes for him on the back up here, I think. 350. Tuvalu's been supported now into $7. Without a fight first up, Sam Freedman told us yesterday on the Stable Mail that he can win first up. There's no doubt about that. But he's got bigger grand finals. He'll go to the Turnbull after this, and then they'll make the decision whether they go to the Cox Plate or the Caulfield Cup. Right, you are at $19. Solcombe at $8. If he sprints like he did the other day, is it a big price? But that's the big question. Lindemann at 8.50, and then attrition who was unlucky. You would imagine, or you could say there in the Fiends at $8. Who wins this year's Underwood Stakes here, Dean?
Yeah, interesting race. Again, I always look at the history first. Last 12 years, 7 winners second up, 5 winners third up, 4 winners of a 14-day break, and 7 winners of a 21-day break. 4-year-olds have won 5, and then 5 to 9-year-olds have won 7. But the 4-year-olds have a good record in this race. 11 geldings are entires and 1 mare. Probably the most interesting piece about this race is in the last 10 years, the winner's been no worse than 5th on the turn. So, this is that sort of race, that stepping stone to the Cox Plate and Caulfield Cup. You have a lot of horses here that, this is a bit of a fitness run as they prepare for bigger fish down the line. So often those horses they can sit on pace are pretty hard to beat. But the interesting thing is that there's a lot of speed here. My map's got a pretty quick speed. Alligator Blood obviously going to push forward and lead. I think Lindemann will be right there sitting right behind him. Tuvalu will push forward and probably sit outside Alligator Blood, I'd say. You got Smoke and Romans and Right You Are, they'll be handy and probably bound to clear as well. So there's a bit of speed, but for sure I want to be on those horses that are on the speed, given that, in the last 10 years, the winners come from no further back than 5th. That leads us to, the horse you spoke about, Alligator Blood, 5-time Group 1 winner. He was good in the Memsie, only beaten less than a length, and then second to Makybe Diva. That's by far and away the strongest form for this, in the sense of, an 1800 Group 1. So there's no doubt that Alligator Blood is very much the one to beat. Also beyond speed that I think is really, underrated is Lindemann. He pulled up Coffin first up on the Winks. He put a line through that. He was 4th in the Challenge, but he'd been a length and a half. But that was sort of like a first up run, I think, for him. I think it overran 3rd there and then, won the $1 million race last week. He won the Rosehill Guineas last prep. I think the fact that Hugh Bowman is coming back from, Hong Kong, he's riding a lot of winners in Hong Kong. And the fact that he's coming over just, to ride this horse, I think it's a really, really positive pointer. I think, the horse really looked like it was flying in its trials. I thought it was going to have a big prep, and then obviously something went wrong in the Winks when it was coughing. I just think that Lindemann's going really well, and, I can see Alligator Blood and Lindemann basically going neck for neck and really fighting this out. I think Right You Are is a big price. He's just sort of a consistent galloper. He's from the right yard, the Mars stable. He maps really well. He keeps improving. He beat, some pretty good horses last February, even though they weren't big class races. If you actually go through some of the horses he beat, they were handy types. And I just get the impression he's sort of like what Smoke and Romans was for the last year for the Mars stable. He just was a consistent horse improving, and then suddenly came out and won a Group 1. So I think Right You Are is got some hope. Tuvalu's sort of consistent and on speed, so I think he's in the race. And the one I'm probably most interested in watching from a long term is Duke de Sesa. I think, again, he's from the Mars stable. He's a really impressive entire and such a good race in the Doncaster, his first run in Australia. He was pretty, solid first up in the Memsie. He's going to appreciate the 1800. I think we've spoken about him for the Caulfield Cup. I think he's a good futures bet. But, I think if for some reason they tear each other up front and there's a sweeper, I reckon he could be the surprise runner.
All right, then. So you get $61 Duke de Sesa. Kiramar made Duke de Sesa the best out of their 3 runners there in the Underwood Stakes.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a good push there, I think. $61. What are we getting the place? Duke de Sesa, $12 the drum. Lindemann at $8.50. And then, of course, Alligator Blood is at the top of the market there at $3.50. For the SEN followers or listeners, you can jump aboard the winningedgeinvestments.com website and you head to the membership page, you type in SEN, and you get a 50% off subscriptions from Winning Edge Investments. Is this right, Dino, for the rest of your life?
That's it. First membership, sign up, and it's a 50% discount ongoing. And it's been fantastic having so many listeners join, and the feedback we've been getting is what's been most pleasing. So they're enjoying themselves.
So, Dino, and there's so many different options you can choose as well. I've got a lot of people get in contact with me and they go, like, if you're just starting off, what would you recommend if you're a thoroughbred fan? Because you get the trial service and the different metro tracks as well.
Yeah, look, I've got a couple of services. I've got a trials by service that focuses on, runners from the trial. We've got another new service I call Unleash that, that's a really big bets when I'm sort of really, really keen on one, and that's sort of 1 or 2 bets a week. We've got a mailman who's sort of an insider. He's got deep connections in the racing industry. He's been going, incredibly well. We've got services where you can, if you like to bet fixed odds early in the morning, then you can do that. If you like to sort of sit back and, bet on, best of the best or one of those products, we've got services that fit that. And then we've got services that sort of bet on, Betfair SP and that sort of thing as well. So we've really got a wide mix. So I think the best thing is to hop on the website, go to the, membership options page, read up all about them, and then, feel free to click the contact us button and ask the team, and the team will be happy to chat with you and explain all the options too, and in terms of what your personal preferences are.
Sensational, mate. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Gareth.
At Winning Edge Investments, our team of highly skilled expert analysts and full-time professional punters review the data, crunch the figures, assess the best betting opportunities, and deliver them to your phone via our app and your email inbox in real time so you profit. Go to www.winningedgeinvestments.com. Look at our membership options, make your choice, and enter the promo code PODCAST to receive a special 25% discount on your first membership just for listening. That's PODCAST in capital letters for a 25% ongoing discount on your first membership. Treat your betting like a business and invest intelligently with Winning Edge Investments.